We are living in 1984. Well, kind of 1984, but also we're living in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, because it's kind of the whole story is about how Roald Dahl books want to be censored so that they can take out words like fat and ugly, so that young kids aren't bullied anymore about it. I can't get my head around this. I really cannot get my head around this. How a book written however long ago they were written is now turned out to be deemed offensive to people, and kids are getting upset about it.
I'm well. There's kind of a lot to unpack here because I'm of a couple of minds about this. Um, One is this has been going on with movies for a while with the digital copies.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
something that we notice prominently in, say, like the Star Wars trilogy or something that's been around and is just so seared into our memories. But that I have no idea how much it's happening to other movies. I just don't watch that often or know that much about.
I mean,
So
there was
there's
a
a
big fuss, just to interject, there was a big fuss the other day about China, how they changed the end of Fight Club. And at the end of
yeah
Fight Club, it was a sign came up saying the police foiled Tyler Durden's
there
plans and arrested him and threw him in jail.
yeah all hail the state. Uh, but I mean, yeah, I mean, China's was kind of overt and blatant, but it's one that it's like it's friggin' China, You kind of
Yeah.
like, okay, morons, that's the country you live in. But here, with free speech, at least in America, with free speech and everything, this is and property rights for that matter, copyright
Mm.
infringement.
Hmm.
I don't know. I mean, at what point is this? I mean, this is vandalism, right?
Yeah.
But it
Cultural
wasn't just
vandalism.
it absolutely is. And now it's happening to books. And this is the printed word. So now, I mean, you're erasing history. And this is exactly, I mean, this is like word for word what Orwell wrote in
Yeah.
1984. So, we're reaping what we sow here to a certain extent. But then there's also this really, really cynical part of me that can see like people are buying up the books off of eBay and suddenly the prices are skyrocketing and everything. And everybody's talking about the old Roald Dahl books and probably they want to get some more movies made and that side of things. So in a month or two, do they announce, you know what, after the backlash, we're putting them all back. You
Well,
can buy them all, in which
apparently,
case there'll be more. Everybody buy the new ones just in case they do it again.
apparently
And
that is what has happened. Because of the backlash, they have said that now they won't be doing it. But again, it's kind of, if it is a digital, or not a digital, but if it is an advertising scheme, then fair play, because it's obviously worked very well.
it has worked very well, but it also kind of dives into my entire problem with society nowadays, which is we're all just waiting to get mad, and corporations are just taking advantage of it to fleece us. And
Yeah,
it's like, okay, when are we going to stop playing their games? When are we
yeah,
going to stop being angry at each other? I mean, first you got to like define reality, and we've got a large group of people that can't seem to do that anymore. And then secondly, we got to figure out, well, what are the bedrock principles? Again, I'm talking as an American here. I understand that, but I think a lot of our stuff comes from English common law and that sort of thing. So I don't think we're too far out. But certainly the idea of free speech and property rights and all that kind of stuff, it's like we don't agree on that anymore. We don't agree on free speech. I know in England you get arrested if you say the wrong thing on Twitter now. And
yeah.
that's just mind blowing to me. And yet there's a group of, I mean, just, I don't know, call them coddled youngsters, call them, they get you in the schools young, they teach you garbage. That's all you know is garbage. So now you're frightened of everything, of a mean word. Speech is
Mm.
violence, that kind of stuff. It's all topsy turvy. So I don't know how we get back there. And in the meantime, book companies and movies and theater or studios and whatever, they're just screwing with the IPs, saying, well, this will get them mad. This will get them talking. Hey, everybody's talking about our book now. Everybody's buying our book again. I mean, it's just like, oh God, stop your world. I want to get off. That kind of thing.
It's. I'm going to say, I think you're peaking a little bit in your microphone, so you might want to bring it down ever so slightly because you moaned about
Okay.
me. It's not saying that last time.
No, no, I appreciate it. If I sit back a little bit, is that better?
There we go. There we go. I can just hear it slightly clicking. That's all. Um, but I mean, it is one of those things where I do think to myself, why are we mollycoddling children these days and wrapping them up in cotton wool? You know, when I was a kid, I was bullied, and I probably bullied other people, and it made me the man I am today. I don't want to say that, but you know, it does teach you to stand up against these people and to take on resilience. As soon as I heard this, there was a lady over here on the BBC, and she was doing an interview, and she was saying about how children shouldn't have to be subject to these bad influences and stuff. And I thought, what happens to a kid if his mum is, you know, dying of cancer? Do you just shield him from that? Oh, she's gone to a farm, but she's never going to see you again. You know,
Yeah, you told me you took mom to a farm.
yeah, can we go and see her? No, it's really far away, and yeah, she doesn't want to see you anymore. But
She's in
again,
mommy heaven.
unfortunately, there are harsh realities of life. But we live in a society now where all kids are given like participation awards for everything. You don't have winners or losers anymore. That, you know, some kids are great at maths and other kids are great at sport. It's kind of, no, everybody's done well. Hooray, we all get an award. You know, it doesn't teach kids a good thing, I don't think, for a future life.
Well, you know, the fairy tales back in the day, and the Grimm's fairy tales, they were
Yeah,
horrific. You know,
yeah.
if you go out into the forest by yourself, you might find a witch who will stick you in an oven and eat you. Um,
What's
yeah,
wrong
I
with
mean, it's
that?
just, well, I mean, they didn't hold back from these horrific stories, and quite frankly, I mean, when we were growing up, I mean, how much even at a young age did we want to watch some of the more scarier stuff or read the horror comics or things like that? I mean, it was scary, but you know, it was like you dealt with it. You had I
Yeah,
remember Friday Fright Night every night, every Friday. You know, some weird scary movie. They would play on UHF. They'd play like Dracula and all the old horror movies like in the middle of the afternoon. Nobody gave a shit,
yeah.
and it didn't. It doesn't traumatize kids. I don't have any. I don't have any belief. I don't see any evidence to support that movies or video games or books that get horrific are a instigator for kids to just lose their minds or freak out or not being able to handle anything. In fact, I think it's actually the opposite. I think they don't learn any coping skills early because all they watch is
Yeah,
shit like
exactly.
Barney
Yeah,
and this, and then now they've used it as an opportunity to stick all their weird sexual deviancies into it, and that kids now they think it's, you know, they can't handle any of the violence. They can't. I mean, you can't even smoke in a movie
yeah.
anymore. But you know, Uncle Freddie wants to stick his dick in you. That's fine. You should understand that that's just a choice, and maybe you'll know
And
you'll.
and men
It's like,
dressing
oh
up
my
as
god,
ladies, that's perfectly okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
yeah. I mean, there's I remember like George Carlin and some others who said I'd rather see two people on screen making. I'd rather my kids see two people on screen making love than I would killing each other. And I hate to say it, but I totally disagree with him because the killing each other, the violence and everything, it's very easy for a kid to wrap his head around. And it's something that it's why you watch GI Joe, it's why you watch He
Hmm.
Man, all this kind of stuff. Even though they didn't kill each other as much, but even Star Wars or some of the movies, you can understand. You're stopping bad guys. You understand
Hmm.
death. It's a very easy concept, I think, for kids to wrap their heads around. You know, alive and then it's dead, and you know that's a bad thing. But sex and all the emotions that come with it, and relationships and the feelings with each other, there's adults that haven't got this shit figured out yet, right?
Yeah, but kids
Uh,
under 18, not a problem,
yeah,
not an issue,
yeah,
not an issue for
like
them.
4 year olds. That's not going to be. I mean, it's like you're getting into some very complex emotions that are tied in with our biology and our souls and our willingness and desire to have people, our need get above our animal passions and all that kind of stuff. It's like, how do you explain all that shit to a 4-year-old? It's very, very tough. And
Yeah.
if you just show them the physical act, I mean, I always look at South Park, which we'll get into here soon. Maybe this will be my segue. When they did the Lord of the Rings spoof, and they were trying to get the extended edition videotape or DVD, I can't remember, but Butters somehow got a hold of like the worst porn ever. It got mixed up in the boxes. And because he watched this, he slowly turned into Gollum. It's my precious. Because it messed him up, you know. It was like it was funny. Like Butters, or not Butters, Token. Token says, he's like, Token, we don't know why this tape is so, what kind of magic it has. We need somebody to watch it. He says, I will take on the quest. And he goes in and he comes out like 5 minutes later. He's just taking off his costume. He's like, I'm out. I don't want to play anymore. I'm done.
So, coming back to the books, I wonder if it was kind of a marketing ploy to be able to do that, because you did kind of have visions of, you know, in 20 years' time, sort of saying, "Here, kid, do you want to buy a copy of the Twit? It's the original. It's got the word ugly in it," you know, and this kind of thing. And whether, you know, they would go into people's houses, and it made me think of like Equilibrium and sort of movies like that, where people have got hidden libraries with the original copies of Roald Dahl books. And you are thinking, really? Seriously? This is where we're going to now, that we're protecting kids so much that we're just not going to use the word ugly around them?
I don't know how this is all going to play out, because I mean, it's this weird mind virus has infected so many HR departments and that sort of thing, and then corporations either are buying into all this nonsense or they are using it to their advantage.
Yeah.
Is this a cynical marketing ploy? Is it woke people getting in the way? Can it be both? It probably could be both. I mean, it's not like a corporation is a monolith. There's all kinds of people in it. They all have different ideas, and marketing people will take advantage of anything they can. So I don't know. I'm just kind of like, I don't know what to think about it. I do know that all of it long term is bad.
Yeah.
And if we don't
any kind of censorship of old stuff. It's weird actually, because I remember George Lucas petitioning somewhere, and he was saying about how they shouldn't change old movies. You know, they shouldn't even colorize them and all this kind of stuff. And it is kind of like, right, George, I get what you're saying, but you've never submitted a copy of Star Wars to the American Film Institute because you want them to have the special edition and not the original cut. You know, so you're kind of shooting yourself in your own foot there.
It's okay when we do it.
Yeah, you know, and again, it's like I say, any kind of this censorship, it's just bad.
Yeah, I mean, Lucas, he didn't. He testified in front of Congress on this.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah,
I knew him just getting some interview. I mean, this was under oath and shit. Like, what the hell, George? I mean, this. It kind of comes down to like that bedrock principles are no longer bedrock anymore, and that they are used when convenient. And if we, if the principles don't get back in place somehow, if we don't have a foundation to build off of, then the whole thing crumbles. And I mean, I don't want to start sounding like Tim Pool here, but I mean, come on, this is what is happening. The foundation is crumbling, and what's going to happen? Not just the United States, but I mean, all of the West, is kowtowing to this nonsense in various ways, and they're not going to, you know, the people that want to take over are people who do not have these principles and will have no compunction of screwing you over if it furthers their own aims.
I think that's such a huge part of the problem, that these people have got such wild ideas that it's not, you know, the whole backlash of what with this Roald Dahl thing. It's just because it's so stupidly outrageous, and you know, anybody with a mediocre of common sense or goes, well, that's just a bad idea. Whereas these people are sort of like, no, we must fight for the children and make sure they don't, you know, get influenced by this kind of thing. And it's really sort of, but it's not, is it? Any, like you say, anybody with common sense. But it's unfortunately these people that are the ones that are in control of the whole situation.
Yep. I'm not sure how it's going to get fixed because we have groups, I mean, an entire generation that's been infected with this mind virus. And I don't know if the question is, are they the majority or not? Thank you for watching this excerpt from Outpost Frequencies. Tune in live every Sunday at noon Central Time or 6 o'clock UK time. And also, remember to come to lastmovieoutpost.com for all your latest in movie news, streaming news, and everything cool about film. We are the cool news now. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next stream.